We are the Gichohi. My name is Jerry Gichohi. He's the Gichohi. Married for now 2 years. This coming Feb, actually not 26. Yes, we'll be turning 2.
I'm the Gichohi. I'm married to this beautiful girl, Jerry. Yes, and I serve at worship at Nairobi Chapel, Lavington.
Me too.
So do we, right? And other than that, I'm a child of God. She's a child of God, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, we love the Lord. Praise Zindua, we were only 1 year into marriage. And, when you get married and you're enjoying the honeymoon, and then everyone you're running into is like, so how are you guys doing? How is everything? What are you doing next? What are you thinking next? And there's so much to live by, and you can easily get distracted. But for us, we were looking to get a little grounded, one together as a team, and also to find a rhythm that we could live by, even as we were pursuing purpose together in marriage. And so, Praise Zindua happens to be a season where we were asking ourselves the hard questions of where do we go now? Why do we go where we want to go? How would we, insofar as it concerns us, do life? And so it was just filled with so many questions, wanting to know, reaching out for help from people, friends, books, resources online. But there was just a desire to grow, a desire to get better, a desire to find the best rhythm and find God even at the midst of us trying to understand what this season of our lives in marriage meant. So Zindua happened to be amongst one of the very first sermons we had at Nairobi Chapel. Again, looking for settling, looking for a church to call home. And then we get into Nairobi Chapel. Almost sooner had we joined them, there was this sermon series by Anzaya. And I remember going home the very first day we had that sermon, and I texted my bro-in-law. And I was like, hey, this thing we're doing, man, I think even if you don't want to come to church, I think you could come and listen to this. Zindua sounded this heavy word that needed to be broken down. And it answered very many questions that we were having. The sermon was presenting an opportunity for us to ask the hard questions. And I remember it was interesting to even have Zindua go on, because I had come from a different way of doing church, and then here was church, and there I was teaching. We're having to ask each other hard questions in church. Like he would pause at some point and allow us to, engage with him in a sermon, guys. And I'm like, hey, that was quite mouthful. And so there was a desire definitely through the sermon series to delve even much deeper. And that's what Zindua sermons helped us with. Just understanding what space we were in 4 weeks, actually, just to picture the bigger picture.
Yeah, we had just joined Nairobi Chapel, Lavington, when the sermon series was going on. I remember this Sunday when Anzaya was asking the congregation, the guys who were 50 years and above, to just stand up and say something, their younger self. And when we went home, I remember that was the conversation. What would we want to say when we are 50? Looking back to the years we had lived, how do you want to live the years we have to 50? So that was one of the reasons that prompted us to sign up for Zindua.
So they say that it's a great day when you're born, and it's a great day when you know why, right? And the thing about life is that seasons of life will teach you or will showcase a part of you that you didn't know. And so for me, that was marriage. You're getting married and you're doing life 1 year in, and you're going to the second, and you have all these things written down. And you are also in your career. For us, we're both advocates. So I was working in an organization, and things are going good. And this someone is coming along, and we are listening to God, and we are asking ourselves the hard question: what is the Lord calling us unto? And I have been in church for a long time, I should say. But the thing about God, every time He reveals Himself in a different way, the way you will understand something today by reading Scripture is probably different for how you understand tomorrow. So when I say, for me, the best way to summarize when life stretches free is then God happened. The day we walked up to ourselves and asked ourselves the hard question, but what would God want of our lives? Even beyond the beauty and the bounty of us being advocates and doing well in our careers at the point, the question of what else, what more than this? Surely there has to be something more. And then, of course, through the conversations and through the topics in that chapter, I think I like how they all ended with asking us the hard question of how have you been living? How do you want to live different from now? What are the steps you're taking? And I remember when we were doing those reflection classes, and people were just sharing their reflections in our group, it would always sit in you that are you allowing God to happen in your life, because we are in such a world where everyone has everything fixed minus the place of God. So then God happened for us was a moment for us to allow asking God to intentionally journey with us and come into our spaces and distract us, if I may use that word, to a better path.
Yeah, and God did that. He distracted us. And for me, what the topic that really stood out for me, of course, is until death do us part, because there was this quote that marriage is meant to make us holy and not happy. That was so profound in my perspective, because of course the book said that each individual is responsible for their own happiness, but when it comes to holiness, the whole purpose of our marriage is to make us holy and whole before God. I think that for me that was the biggest takeaway when we were doing Zindua.
In the midst of that rat race, wanting the big machine to live in Runda, to do all those things, when God happened in that space, He began to show us the folly of our ambition outside of God. And I would say I have gotten all the answers correct, but there are things that I've had to drop. And for me, that's the whole essence of Zindua, whereby you allow the Lord to actually come into your spaces and, as we've said, distract you and then now realign with you. This morning when I woke up and I was thinking about this interview, I had the Lord say that sometimes direction from the Lord is reckless abandon and surrender to Him, where you fall on His feet and tell Him, what, I don't know what to do going forward, and I just need you to guide me. So in the area of career, I was really not a small pushover. Like, I was going full throttle. Hardly 5 years into the practice, but still, going for the everything possible. I'm sure you can do this, jumping on every other bandwagon. At times doing 5-6 jobs, some on consultancy, some on part-time, a full-time job, etc. And we had to sit down with my wife and ask ourselves the hard question of, and then what, And so for me, I got the understanding of the Lord was calling me to a place of deeper surrender, and that meant changing my perspective about where I work, right? So I had 2 organizations which have been going through really, really a tough time. And of course, me being me, Gichohi would have easily jumped ship. Kitambo, like, goes without saying. But when I allowed the Lord into that space, of just saying, what, God, I am certain you called me into this space. I wouldn't want it any better, but that is not happening yet. However, I will choose to stick by. And so one of the things we've done, even as we come into the new year, is just agreeing with my wife and saying, because we are certain that the Lord called us to eat, regardless of how difficult it will be, we will stick to it. Now, the two places where I work have provided me an opportunity to reach out to very many people, largely on pro bono, largely on sharing the gospel of Christ in the workplaces for professional advocates and lawyers in campuses, a space which is not the usual, and I sensed the other day the Lord say, He can take care of us and He can take care of everything. We just commit to Him whatever He's doing to us. So we began to, plug into spaces where we are getting involved more, giving back to the society, reaching out to people who have gone ahead of us and asking them to pour to the lives of younger people through mentorship. We are looking for places where young lawyers can get placements. We're looking for places where the senior advocates could also share their faith with their younger colleagues. We are working together at the Kenya Christian Lawyers Fellowship to just see how best do we create God factor in the legal profession. And then through the second organization, which is Clear Kenya, we are reaching out to the indigent, the vulnerable groups, and providing them with pro bono or subsidized legal services across the country. It can be very, very gratifying, but also be very, very tiring. But then when you have the understanding of the Lord is calling us to significance more than He's calling us to success, then you will start to appreciate that some of these things which ideally do not make sense. So if I was saying this to just a normal clique of boys, it really makes sense for me to tell them that I've decided to dedicate the next 2 years of my life serving the Lord in this way, at the expense of, going to court and being big, just burying myself and sowing into the Lord in this season the way He's called me to. It really makes sense. But at the back of my mind, when I have the conversations about Zindua in my head, we have no doubt as a family to actually say that fine, we will go this journey, we will take this journey because this is what the Lord is requiring for us, and it doesn't matter whether successful or not. He's calling us to significance, and that's why contribution for me has been that one thing that I keep going back to, and has really actually even informed the next 24 months as the Lord leadeth in this space of my life and marriage.
Yes, in terms of significance and contribution, Zindua, I was working in a place that was very toxic, and when we were doing the topic of significance and contribution, I asked myself some hard questions as I was trying to answer the leading questions in the book, and I realized that I was not making any significance. I was not contributing to any. There was no significance that I was doing at the place of work at that time, and so I had to make the hard decision to quit my place of work and find something to do that will I'd make more impact on people's lives, and also in my life, in my marriage. So I decided to quit. Sign up, and sign up. Don't even think twice about it. It's gonna change your perspectives on a lot of things, the way you look at life, how you want to live your life, the kind of significance you want to make, and also it realigns your goals. And it helps you to be able to see God more, to know what His will is for you. So I'd really encourage people to sign up and do life. It gives you a community as well.
Yeah, sign up. I mean, for us, it's community. We have the best community around Zindua. I should say our Zindua group is made of married couples, most of whom are within our ear bracket and or rather we're in the space where we can talk to one another. So our Zindua group has morphed into a life group, which is what Zindua aims to achieve, where we are accountable to one another, ask ourselves the hard questions, go there and pour out our issues about marriages. Not to say we're having issues really, but get context for conversations. And therefore, if you're there wondering whether you should do this, here is your testimony. Go ahead and sign up.